How to practice self-love. Self-love can be defined as an appreciation of one's own worth or virtue. That includes accepting yourself as you are, prioritizing your needs, setting healthy boundaries, and forgiving yourself when needed. Treating yourself with kindness and respect means taking time to take care of your overall well-being. So often in life, we gravitate towards people and things to feel that we are loved and lovable. We've grown up seeking external validation from parents and caretakers, so it makes sense that we'd also crave affirmation from a romantic partner or praise from a boss. But if we require that validation in order to feel positive about ourselves, we place our happiness and confidence on shaky ground. Our belief in our own value starts to crumble if that partner leaves us, if we have a challenging day at work, or if we ever face criticism. That's why it's important to practice self-love. Through simple daily actions and a mindfulness practice, we can cultivate a sense that we are worthy, valuable, and lovable, no matter what is or isn't happening around us. We can learn to interrupt our default thought patterns and instead show ourselves the care we all deserve. Self-love, like the very idea of love itself, is a tricky thing to pin down. But we can think of it as the act of connecting with ourselves to better tune into our truths, which, in turn, shapes how we show up in life. We practice self-love by being kinder and gentler to ourselves, without indulging the inner critic and without judgment. In other words, self-love involves shifting our focus inward, not outward, setting healthy boundaries we might not be used to setting, no longer denying our innermost needs, and adopting a new perspective, removed from the stories in our head that are dependent on the actions or words of others, or the rigid expectations we hold on to in our mind. It's also about acts of self-care, rest, pampering, and participating in activities that improve our mood or bring us joy. But it's important to remember that self-love isn't self-indulgence and isn't an excuse to let ourselves off the hook. We can still hold ourselves accountable to the goals we've set for our growth. All in all, we can take the steps to fuel our self-love, rather than allowing negative thinking to fuel a self-perception that isn't very loving and is often shaped by our upbringing or relationships. So while a deficit of self-love is often the cause and effect of circumstances outside our control, we can use awareness to understand our conditioning and then start to turn things around. Self-love begins with the simple act of appreciating ourselves. Too often, our minds become overrun with critical mental chatter and limiting beliefs about what we are or aren't capable of. When we're consumed by these thoughts, it's difficult to offer ourselves gentleness or recognize our strengths. If a really close friend was having a tough time, there's no way we'd speak to them the way we speak to ourselves in our mind, says Headspace co-founder and former Buddhist monk Andy Puddicombe. To practice self-love is to find that same friendly compassion for ourselves. And that word practice is important. Self-love is more than just an absence of negative self-talk or a sustained state of positivity towards ourselves. That would be unrealistic and unsustainable. Self-love is learned and cultivated through daily intentional actions that support our development. Of course, the way we have been programmed to think about ourselves isn't going to transform overnight. Loving ourselves is the same as loving another. It requires work, time, and a commitment to choose love. That's why we practice and keep practicing until the positive reinforcements, as well as the acts of self-care, become an ingrained part of how we view ourselves. So even when we revert to type, as is inevitable, our awareness kicks in and we let go of any negative chatter. Gradually, we start to see how we are thinking and responding differently. When we practice self-love, together with meditation, we offer ourselves the opportunity to find internal ease in the present moment, no matter what might be going on around us. But self-love has benefits beyond our relationships to ourselves. The more we're able to validate and nurture ourselves, the easier it becomes to offer compassion and generosity to the people around us as well. Here are 6 practices that can help each of us be more loving toward ourselves. 1. Embrace meditation and mindfulness. When we meditate, we are cultivating self-love, but that's still only 10 minutes of the day, or maybe up to an hour for seasoned meditators. Transferring that quality of mind into the rest of our day is where mindfulness takes over, the ability to remain aware, without getting caught up in our ancient patterns, without getting fazed by what's happening around us. The mind we train in meditation is essentially the mind that learns to be mindful, not falling into old ways of thinking. Research shows an association between meditation mindfulness and elevated self-esteem and happiness, as well as lowered anxiety, each of which makes it easier to practice self-love. What's more, it becomes easier to recognize the negative thoughts and feelings that often get in the way of us appreciating ourselves. 3 weeks of using the Headspace app has been shown to increase compassion by 21%. 2. Express gratitude to yourself. When we express gratitude for the qualities we possess or the day we've experienced, we are connecting with the things we value about ourselves. Self-appreciation is one route to self-love. Whether we say these things quietly to ourselves or keep a list in a gratitude journal, the practice of acknowledging our strengths and achievements will help build that self-love over time and allow us to redirect our desire for external validation inwards. 3. Practice self-care. Self-love blossoms when we take care of ourselves. This can be something as basic as attending to our basic needs, eating well, hydrating enough, exercising, and sleeping as much as we need. But it can also look like doing a little extra. We might carve out an afternoon to do an activity we love or pamper ourselves in some way. Self-love centers around how we think and feel about ourselves. Self-care is those thoughts and feelings put into action, however we choose to treat or spoil ourselves. 4. Set boundaries. Nothing is more loving than recognizing our own limits and protecting ourselves from running past them. When we don't love ourselves enough, we can tend to come from a place of people-pleasing and put the needs of others ahead of our own, in pursuit of validation. When we bring awareness to this trait, we can start to make changes and set healthy boundaries. Though it can feel challenging to do so, we show ourselves love by saying no to people, things, and experiences that don't feel good, and by asking clearly for what we need from our loved ones. 5. Let go of comparisons. Comparing ourselves to the external success or achievements of others is a surefire way to cultivate negativity. Each of us has our own path in life, and we practice self-love by reminding ourselves of that when the desire to compare arises. 6. Forgive yourself. Challenges are inevitable. Each of us will make mistakes or behave in ways we regret. We can practice self-love by extending compassion and kindness to ourselves in these moments. When negative self-talk shows up, we can notice it and acknowledge it without giving into the self-criticism. We can extend the grace and forgiveness we'd extend easily to a dear friend in the same situation. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.